Alright guys, welcome back. So I took Salad to Locos the second week in a row. And last week top 8, this week first place. Pretty good, pretty happy with it. Because the way the deck was constructed was highly influenced by Master Duel. Because like when you play Master Duel, right, you have to take into account that it's a best of one. And the whole dynamic of the deck building process changes, right? Because like 3 ofs and 2 ofs just become very distinctive in I guess in the way you draw a certain amount of cards. And I took that approach for this particular build, and it worked fine. Everything just flowed perfectly. So let's go get started. And the good thing about this is that if you want to play this post the ban list, you can. Because the only thing I wanted to make sure that I've ended up doing really well with this deck, it would be it would still be relevant because you can still play in the new ban list. Because all you need to do is just add a circle. You see what I mean? Okay, so first off, Triple Buffalo. This card is just really good. Help you discard the Spinnies and Foxies and Falco and Jaguar out of your hand. And it just gets you deeper into your deck to get those utility cards. It's really nice. And then your second normal summon. Typically, this would be a second like starter because you would like excavate and almost always hit a solid trap. But like in this particular build, I ended up cutting back on the solid cards. So you don't really use that effect in this particular instance. But still, it's still pretty good. Other, right? Your discard outlets. Like Spinny's just amazing. Like the fact that it's a one card like Splash Mage into Access Code Climb, which is really cool. I mean, assuming you have like another Cybers in graveyard. But it also helps because of what you're playing. You're playing the DPE, and DPE is huge because typically the hands you open with Salad and they're like not really that great is when you open up just like these guys and these guys. And like not really like the trap access, whereas like sometimes you have like a Reeling Bale and then you have like hand traps, like that's not sufficient enough. Whereas this way you have a Verte play, which is insane. Verte gets you the DPE on top of hand traps is better than just having a Bale link to hand traps because you have a constant interaction and you have to draw 2, which is insane because you deplete your hand sometimes. Because you deplete your hand, you interact like you draw Ash. You know, impermanent, like you deplete your hand, and then having that recovery play with through Fusion Destiny is amazing. But yeah, it's pretty good. Just the fact that you can have like a Stalio play as well is really nice. And this is where it's a bit different as well. I was playing 3 before. I was maxing these guys out. But once again, I want to be very practical with it, right? Very not necessarily just for the fact that okay, the higher the more copies you have, the more chances you have of drawing it. Of course, that is the case. But I wanted to just have a more practical approach. Like, when am I ever gonna use X amount of copies of this particular card? And realistically, I'm only gonna be using this amount. So I cut it at that with that justification, with that logic, right? But yeah, this is utility cards. You just need to play one of each. It worked really well. And this is where you play your garnish, like you play the DP stuff. Like, of course, it's the argument of this would be like, oh, but like you don't want to be drawing stuff with. But yeah, but what it provides for the deck is like the risk is worth the reward type of scenario. Like, of course, it does suck. Like I only drew both of these once, and it sucked, you know. And I think I still ended up winning. It was really funny. But yeah, like it does suck when you draw them. But like, what can you do, honestly? Like, it's just so good at what it does. Like, DP is amazing. It makes your weird hands good, and that's like enough to justify it. Like it's just hard not to justify it that way. And this is where, this is where it's a bit different as well. I was main decking Sanctum with Artifact Scythe and Lancia because they're just really good. Like if you stop them completely and you have Grave setup and you have like your Roar that you have not used and you don't need to use, because most of the time when this resolves, you don't have to use your Roar unless you have to stop the Ash that's preventing this from hitting the field. Then okay, but then even then it gives you another body to play under the nib, which is huge. Like it's just really huge. And then Lancia is just like generically, like not generically, but like it's pretty decent versus some of the best decks right now. Gave Artifact Sanctum a bit of versatility, which is what I like, which is the whole theme of the deck: versatility and utility. You want to have like options, right? And it was pretty good. And then of course you have, this is where it gets kind of weird, right? Some of you are gonna be like, what the fuck, like, this is what the heck. Okay, so 2 nib, two ash, two draw, right? Because I one thing that I noticed is that when you max these guys out, right? Because the format, I guess, is not it's very diverse. So you're not really gonna have the appropriate cards versus that particular matchup every single time. So you want to increase the chances of that happening, right? Because like let's say you have triple draw, triple ash, triple nib, right? Sometimes you can have like a lot of nibs versus the bad matchup, right? And same thing with draw. Like sometimes you can have draw versus the bad like a matchup that does completely nothing against. So like when you minimize that decreases, and on top of that, you still have like the high chance of being able to, I guess, like have like the stars align, right? Where okay, I drew the draw versus the best deck I can use it against, right? Or I drew Nibiru versus the best deck I can use it against, right? And the odds of you having the wrong card for the wrong deck is still there, but you minimize the chance of you having like multiple mismatching scenarios. Does that make sense? And I felt like this did fine. Like it just worked out really good. Like it's really nice. Like everything just I didn't get clogged. I didn't get like unnecessary cards versus the particular matchup. It just everything just worked out fine. But of course, like yeah, I know like triple ash seems like everything just seems aesthetically better when you have at three because you're just okay everything at three. But it was, like I said, it was a much more practical approach, right? Theory like okay, well, how many am I actually gonna use? Like I'm not really ever gonna use triple Nibiru. Like I'm that's realistic. Same thing with ash. You recycle this, so it's like I mean okay, I mean you want to see it so you can start recycling it, but like you're still gonna see it. It's just not as frequent as you would when you have like multiple ashes. Like sometimes you have like double ash. Like, well, if this was something else, I'd be I'd be better in a sense, right? Because typically what people are playing now is like triple nib, triple ash, triple veiler, or triple imperm, right? So you'd basically be supplementing another copy for those, right? But I wanted versatility, right? And that's exactly what it did. It was really nice. And this is what I meant. Like, you just need to add another circle, and you can play the deck post ban list, which is nice. So but this is like your one ups. Okay, so circle, will just one. I was tempted on playing multiples of these because of Verte, because having the Bay links relinked and then having the access to just have more monsters it's quite crucial, you know. And then the one desires because desires is at one. I remember I wanted to make sure that it kept this list kept relevant for as long as possible. Okay, so and then Sanctuary, and then of course your Fusion Destiny, which is insane. Like these cards were just amazing, right? Like it's just so good. Like it's the same thing with this. Like aesthetically, having them maxed out, having them at three, it just seems right? But like it just it just came down to practical use. I'm never gonna use three mining. Like and there's times where you just draw mining, and you just don't want that to happen ever, and it's like really annoying. And the consistency is still there because you still play two of them. You know, same thing with Fusion Destiny. It's not so bad. But I think the only thing I would consider maybe bumping this up because you play Verte, and there's so many times where like I would have to I would have like a spinny and I'm like oh my god if I have this in spinny this is pretty good because then I could just go relink the pail, will the spinny, link the spinny, bring it back to make a Verte, and then set your traps, and that happened quite a bit. But nah, until now it did pretty good. It was fine. I didn't find any real issues with it. And the thing about this is okay. This is where it gets kind of weird too. Okay, so triple double droplet, right? And then double cyclone. Like these are the cards that like are very like it's utility. That's the whole theme of the deck. Is you want to have options, and being held back by having stuff at three, it's like a handicap. You know, like you just gotta like let it go. Like it's sufficient enough the amount. Of course, like I don't really mind going over 40, but for this particular build, this particular theory, I wanted to keep it at 40. And then of course you have your traps. You have your one roar, your one rage, and this is where it's different because normally I play maxis out, but for this particular build, I wanted to just minimize the bad scenarios because like there's like a theory right where I was like okay well the will theory where I would have the spinny and will, and that means I can like if I max these out I'll have like a high chance of opening these But going second was like, it was a bit like awkward. But then like, take into account that sometimes you you need the verte to bring out the DPE, and sometimes you have to sacrifice your bailings. And I saw myself doing that a lot because you had to choose, right? You had to choose, like, okay, so sometimes your hand's kind of weak. So, like, what would I rather have? Interactive DPE with follow up, assuming I deplete my hand with all the hand traps, right? And then I'll have a draw two, if I do deplete my hand. Or would I just set this with the bailings and some hand traps pass? And most of the time I chose the DPE. I went for the bear tape play. Like that was happening a lot. So that's why I didn't want to have like dead rage and roars and have a verite on the field. And that was like something I was really trying to avoid. But then it just came to which is why I was considering playing multiple will, because if I have multiple wills, then I can see the wheel more often and do that particular scenario. But I wouldn't have to sacrifice the bailings, and that's the only reason I would kind of want to bump up the wills. These are traps, and then of course you have your this is where it's weird as well. Double sanctum and double imperm. Same concept, same theory, right? I want to have utility. I'm never gonna resolve 3 sanctum. I just need one for scythe, one for Lancia, right? And then the thing about the Lancia is because most of you will be, oh well, it's 2 and 2, like you still have the chances of drawing either or. But no, think about it. The Lancia, you can just use it from your hand. Doesn't matter. The scythe, you can actually pop it with DPE, or you can pop it with this. So like, even if you draw those cards, like, you don't want to have excess sanctums that just do nothing. And that's the whole logic behind it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense, And yeah, and everything just flowed perfectly. There was like no, like, there's only one time where I bricked, which is when I drew I drew the Sanctuary, the freaking Dasher, and the Celestial. And I think I won that game too. That's the funny part. That's the silly part about it. I was like, oh, what the hell? That's funny. Okay, and this is where the side deck is a bit odd as well. Okay, so you play the second Lancia because once again, like, you don't want to overdo it. So it'll make you 2. The theme of 2. That's basically what it is. Then of course you have Dark Rulers because when you go second, it gets bird. Just where you need it. And then of course you have a double twin, just for back row decks. Yeah. And then of course the second Cyclone. The third Cyclone, because I would prefer this over this because the Scythe Lock is annoying, and sometimes like what you want to happen is you want to have the option to pair these two together, because this will get rid of Scythe Lock. You just go, okay, you go like, okay, let's say they go Stamina Phase, they try to shotgun it, right? And then you go chain, and don't have to chain another one, and then that's when you do this, right? Negate it, and then you banish the Scythe, or negate the rest. Like that scenario is something I wanted to happen like a lot, which is why this is I maxed out on this instead of this. It's just good against Eldritch, just 1x format, just banish everything. And then of course Duster. Reboot, this is reboot. And then double goes in match. This was really good. It was just really good. And some of the thing about this is it makes really obscure scenarios because people don't expect this to be this. Because like sometimes you have like your DPE, and then you have like a Phalanx, right? And then they'll like play into this without knowing, because it's so obscure. They're like, there's just no way, because why would I sacrifice my 4? But the thing about it is that you keep your DPE, right? And then on your turn you can pop your own Gozen and pop something else, and then you can make it live again. And that little niche, obscure scenario is pretty good. And then of course double D-Bear. Thank you, Daniel. Oh my god, these help me so much against Bird, against freaking Joseph. Oh my god, it was so good. Yeah, it's hilarious. And then of course evenly matched, triple evenly matched. This is the only one I don't mind having at 3, because if you open up multiples, you're most likely to break any board. Like, it's just insane. Like, that's just opening multiple cards and then just setting up your combo is insane. I know it's a bit odd, like playing 1-ups, but like, you just gotta trust the process. It just works. It's just fine. It's like a much more practical perspective, right? Like, am I really gonna use this many copies, or just because I want to increase the chances? Like, Sometimes you have like you just draw the one and then it's at one. Like, okay, man. Okay, this is where it's a bit different as well. I play double access code. This, oh my god, because like that's how the decks win most of the time. Like you simplify the game state and the OTK, and sometimes you get a beard, right? But then you have enough resources or enough interactions to keep the game simplified, so then you can have a second chance and make a second access code, and then just OTK. Because like when you don't have that here, it's like, oh damn it, you're kind of forced to grind, and that's where the deck kind of loses in some ways. Like if you don't have your everything in rotation, you struggle with it a bit. And same thing with the transcode. So many times I was doing this. What was happening? It was hilarious. Like I would be doing this just to prevent targeting. Because I'll make this guy attack twice. I'll make him attack twice. It was hilarious. Because like it came up. Like sometimes like you like I was very limited sometimes because I couldn't be able to like get these two together to prevent like Veiler Imperm. Because like first you would do like keep a Bailings up there and then climb into this so they can target him the entire time you're bringing the update jammer back. And then I'd be kind of short on making this guy, so I would just make this guy because it can boost attack twice. You know they can't nuke the board, but most of the time when I would do this, they would have a clear field. I'd have like one monster and they would still be game. You know, and that was happening a lot. Surprisingly, I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. You know, but yeah, typically what happens is like you make this guy attack twice and then this guy attack twice, which is pretty huge. And once again, like if you get a beard, then you have a second pair to try to do that thing again. And of course the update jammer, and then a splash mage, because splash mage is like easy climb to this, which is pretty cool, like just really good. And this is where like the DP package, I play Verte, because it makes your weak hands good, because at least you have this with interactions, which is insane. It makes all the difference. It makes all the difference, man. It's just so good. Then of course your DPE, right? Just good. And then of course your Stalio, so good. And then of course triple wolf, triple Bailings. Okay, it's very. I want to have a very practical approach to this because like within utility, everything makes sense. You know, it's other than the little psychological thing that why is it at 2? Why is it at 1? What like. I know, because you're so conditioned to have like everything be at 3, or you know, it's like it's so when something is placed at 2 or 1 is like it's being kind of weird, you know, because oh well, yeah, you're drawing it, or like what's meant it's meant to be just for utility, right? It's like pot of desires. It's at 1, but you still play it because of what it does and what it provides. Of course, the chances of you drawing it are not as likely anymore, but the fact that it's in there gives you the possibility and the probability that it can happen. And I was drawing this quite often, dude. I was drawing this quite a lot. And the thing about the thing as well, if you play the deck, you have to consider that you have to prioritize DPE to get out of the deck and then desires, because you don't want desires before you do your Verte play or DPE, because like then you lose DPE, which is quite important for this build. But yeah, it was good. It was pretty good. Yeah, so there was 5 rounds of Swiss, and then there's top 8. First round was like a rogue deck. It was like some dark magician deck, and then what else? I played a striker. What else? Altergeist. What was the other one? Oh my god, I think it was Guru. That was my only loss. Guru Goons. What was the other one? Was it Lyrilisk? I think it was Lyrilisk. It was Bird. Yeah, I think it was Bird. And then top 8 was Bird again. Top 4 was Sky Striker. And then the finals was freaking Guru Goons, Daniel. Oh my god, that guy he was freaking main decking shifter. I was like, oh my god. It was, oh god. But then I ended up drawing the reboot. It was insane. But that's the deck list. Just go and try it out. Yeah, it's post ban. It's ready. You just gotta add a circle. It'll be 41, but I don't think that'll affect the consistency that much. If anything, it'll increase consistency because you have a second circle. But yeah, that's it. Freaking cannon! What the heck are you talking about? Oh my god, I'm so offended, dude. What the fuck? Anyway, that's it. Hopefully, you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe if you haven't, and thanks for watching.